Hello, this is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. I'm Alita, and I want to know from you watching out there how we sound. If this doesn't sound okay, please call in and let us know.
And I'm Shawnee. We want you to know that if you don't believe in God, you're not alone. Right here in East Tennessee, you can find free-thinking atheists and agnostics. This is a show for them and for people committed to a life rooted in science and free of supernatural beliefs.
On today's show, we will be reviewing the work of our local chapter of the Freedom from Religion Foundation.
But first, we want to tell you a little bit about the sponsors of our show. The Atheist Society of Knoxville frequently has a fun meetup at a bar or eatery. Tonight's meetup is at a new location. Please make note of this. We'll be gathering at the Downtown Grill and Brewery at 424 South Gay Street around 5:30 p.m. We will be upstairs. This is the old Woodruff building, for anybody who doesn't know. Look for the silver-jacketed copy of The God Delusion standing upright on the table. And as Matt Dillahunty at the Atheist Experience says, everyone is welcome to our happy hour for fun, drink, and conversation. But if you plan to preach, proselytize, provoke, or punch, please don't.
Oh, please don't.
Yeah.
Our show is also sponsored by the Rationalists of East Tennessee, who have regular monthly meetings. The first and third Sunday mornings of the month are usually lectures with lively roundtable discussions. The second Sunday is the Skeptics Book Club. On the fourth Sunday, there is a get-together called Reflections. It features a potluck in someone's home, along with discussion about a selected topic. More information about all these events may be found at rationalists.org.
Later in the show, we'll give you our websites to visit for additional details, including times and locations.
In the news. To begin this segment, we want to talk a bit about a survey that RET, Rationalists of East Tennessee, is conducting. The link is displayed above, but you will want to write it down so you can access it later. Go ahead and get a pencil or pen and something to write on.
Every year, RET holds a public lecture or a public talk with a guest from the free thought community. And for the past 2 years, there has also been an advance, a more extensive event with several well-known speakers. In order to plan better for these endeavors, RET wants to hear from you.
So if you haven't already completed the survey through a link provided via email, please help us out by giving your opinions. If you have that pen or pencil ready, the link is www.surveymonkey.com/FFRF-humanists_ETAL. That's a mouthful.
It is. Now, RET wants your input to help with planning and learning who to invite and where and when to hold these events. So if you haven't already done so, please complete this short survey. It only takes a couple of minutes.
And if you want to volunteer to help with the planning or execution of these events, please provide some contact information so RET can get in touch with you.
And in other news, Non-Belief Relief, a humanitarian agency for atheists, agnostics, free thinkers, and their supporters to improve this world, our only world, announced on October the 28th that it has given $20,000 to Doctors Without Borders.
Non-Belief Relief was incorporated in 2015 with the Freedom from Religion Foundation as its sole member and a board created to carry out the donations. Non-Belief Relief seeks to remediate conditions of human suffering and injustice on a global scale, whether the result of natural disasters, human actions, or adherence to religious dogma. Such relief is not limited to, but includes assistance for individuals targeted for non-belief, secular activism, or blasphemy.
Other major donations this year include $25,000 to the Women's Medical Fund, an all-volunteer abortion fund to aid women in Wisconsin, especially women who qualify for medical assistance. Wisconsin is one of 36 states with religiously instigated cutoff of assistance for abortion care for Medicaid patients. Bring more children that you can't afford.
That's right.
Force a woman.
Or who aren't loved.
Right.
Yeah.
But to financially cut off the patients who really need the assistance the most, it's horrific and barbaric in my opinion.
Thank you, non-belief relief.
Yes, absolutely. They have also had more than $60,000 total distributed to about a dozen Bangladeshis who are on a hit list because of their public atheism. We are lucky enough to live in a country where we can be atheists publicly and our government will not and cannot attack us. We won't be jailed for our atheism. Our government's not going to murder us for it. We are lucky in that aspect.
And they're not going to stand by if someone else decides to go after us either.
Right, absolutely. And they've also given money to the World Food Program in the USA, or I'm sorry, World Food Program USA. $20,000 has been earmarked for Syria, $10,000 earmarked for Sudan, $10,000 for the National Center of Victims of Crimes, which is going directly to survivors or victims' families of the Orlando shooting, the Pulse shooting.
Yeah.
$10,000 has also gone to the Livingston Parish Public Schools in Baton Rouge following the flooding that destroyed school buses and classrooms in Louisiana earlier this fall.
Oh, and that was just horrific.
Yeah.
And as we said, tonight we will be talking about the Freedom from Religion Foundation along with the newly formed East Tennessee chapter of that organization.
The East Tennessee chapter meets monthly on the third Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the community room of the Earth Fair in Turkey Creek. All are welcome at the meetings. You do not have to be a Freedom from Religion Foundation member. Tonight we'll share some of the violations of state-church separation that the local chapter has been addressing.
But first, we want to introduce the national organization. The Freedom from Religion Foundation, FFRF for short, is the largest nonprofit, and spell that P-R-O-P-H-E-T, the largest nonprofit organization in the country. FFRF publishes Freethought Today, a monthly newspaper, hosts a weekly radio show, and works tirelessly with a team of attorneys to keep that wall between state and church strong.
And don't forget, they also have an annual convention.
Oh, absolutely. I actually went to that this year, and it was an amazing weekend.
Let us know how it was.
Okay. I think one of the most touching things about the weekend was that they had all of the founders of the Clergy Project there. Now, the Clergy Project was created for clergy members who discovered that they no longer believed in God but were stuck in a job where they had to support something they didn't believe. Mm-hmm. So those founders included Dan Barker, Daniel Dennett, Linda Lascala, and Adam Mann, the first clergyman to be part of the project. Adam Mann was the pseudonym he used to maintain his anonymity, but during the convention he came out and announced his atheism publicly. In fact, that was when his family learned about it as well. His real name is Carter Warden, and he lives right here in East Tennessee. If we have time at the end of the show, we can talk more about the Clergy Project.
Now, having Carter Warden live so close nearby, it sounds like an opportunity to have him come speak to us.
Oh, absolutely. I think so, too. In fact, I spoke with him briefly about doing just that during that weekend, and I sure would love to make that happen.
Right. Now, what else happened at the convention?
Well, one of the things that FFRF does at its conventions is to give out awards. Now, these run the gamut of the Emperor Has No Clothes. I love that one. To atheists in foxholes for people who are doing advocacy work that puts them in harm's way. Mm-hmm. And the Nothing Feels Like Prayer Award for giving secular invocations.
And didn't you get one of those?
I did, along with 3 other recipients. Now, my award was given because of the invocation I gave at the Oak Ridge City Council. The Rationalist of East Tennessee has been working on getting secular invocations on the agendas of local government bodies where invocations are still given. Now, some government bodies have decided their best bet is just leave those invocations out.
Which is completely safe.
Yes, it is. But my invocation at Oak Ridge was not only boycotted by one of the council members, but cut off by the mayor. Now, the co-presidents of FFRF thought that the rude treatment afforded me made me eligible for one of the awards.
And didn't they contact Oak Ridge about the way they treated you?
They did, along with one of the directors of RAT, who was also instrumental in getting the invocations arranged in the first place. Now, Oak Ridge agreed to allow me a chance to redo the invocation, but let's talk about other things going on with FFRF locally.
All right, great, because our local chapter has been very busy. Now, that's both good news and bad news. It's certainly good to be able to help out on a local level, but the number of violations that have come to our attention is rather discouraging.
Oh, you can say that again. It's terrible. I never dreamed when we started this that we would be so busy.
Oh, I thought it was probably going to end up being more of a social group. We sent out a few letters. We're,
have some snacks and sit
Right.
around and socialize. Yeah, I kind of thought it might be like that too.
we have yet to have a meeting like that. One of the first things we did was to write a letter of introduction to Buzz Thomas, the interim superintendent of the Knox County Schools. One of our members drafted the letter, and we sent it to FFRF for review and input before we sent it out.
They gave us some pointers, and once we edited it with their help, that letter went off to Buzz Thomas.
And Mr. Thomas even sent a reply. It's dated August the 4th, 2016. So if you notice, we tried to get this in before the school year started so much. Dear Ms. Ledendecker, thank you for your recent letter. As a former constitutional law professor and lifelong religious liberty advocate, I share your passion for the First Amendment and its twin pillars of free exercise and no establishment. I will work diligently to ensure the rights of students of all faiths or no faith and help teachers understand the critical difference between student-sponsored religious speech, which we must protect, and school-sponsored religious speech, which we must avoid. Best wishes, Buzz Thomas, Interim Superintendent.
How little he knows what was going on in Knox County as he wrote that letter.
Right.
It has been, it would be funny if it weren't so sad.
You laugh
Yeah.
to keep from crying.
You have
It's
to.
essentially one of those situations.
Now, despite what Buzz Thomas says about the schools in Knox County, Belle Morris, it's an elementary school, seems to be especially problematic.
Yes, I actually used to live in the neighborhood, and they had religious school activity signs hanging on their fence. I contacted them to see if maybe we could get some of our local secular communities on the fence as well.
You know what? I forgot something important, and I want to add that.
Okay.
We'll get back to Belle Morris because they are a problematic
Okay.
school. But one of the things we did with that letter to Buzz Thomas is after sending that out to him, we edited it further to make it more generic and then sent it out to 14 school superintendents or school directors in neighboring counties and municipalities. And FFRF even provided us with copies of their wonderful little brochure, The Top 10 Public School State Church Violations and How to Stop Them, which we included in those letters. So we haven't heard from any of those superintendents.
No,
but
we have been in their districts.
But one of the things that I've said several times is, I sure wish I could have been a fly on the wall when they opened that letter and read it.
With a video camera.
Yes. But now let's get back to Belle Morris.
All right, Belle Morris. I contacted first the superintendent, or the interim superintendent. I was advised to contact the principal. Contacted the principal of the school. They said, sure, no problem. I asked if they would like an image of the banner we were going to use. As soon as I sent in that banner, which is Don't Believe in God, You're Not Alone, they removed all signs, religious or not.
And which is fine.
Right.
This is, because it was predominantly church signs for after-school church programs or
Vacation Bible school.
Yeah. So they didn't need to be promoting those church-related activities anyway.
Right, and that's an acceptable response. Remove them all.
Yeah. So the other thing that happened at Belle Morris, and this gets a little dicier because it was really quite egregious. So I'll let you start with that.
All right. We were successful in getting prayer before eating stopped at Belmore's in a kindergarten class, no less.
Kindergarten.
Yep.
Yeah. A member contacted us about this practice. Because FFRF in Madison was slow to respond to it, we tackled this problem on our own. The assistant principal actually wanted to know the name of the parent who complained, which they had no right to need to know.
No.
The complaint was valid.
In my opinion, they have one reason to ask who, and that's to persecute the student
Right.
and the parent.
Right. So I just want to let our viewers know that rest assured, if you have a complaint, you have an issue that needs to be brought to the attention of authorities, you can remain anonymous. You do not need to come out. We will go to bat for you without revealing your identity.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, it only took a phone call to get this practice stopped. In the case of religious artwork posted at the South Knox County Post Office, it only took a phone call to get that resolved too.
Yes, the postmaster apologized. This was, I don't remember exactly what it said, something like God is master of all or something like that with a cross. And it was obviously child's artwork. But the postmaster apologized because the picture was sent to an employee by a grandchild. And we just explained that it could be posted in the post office as long as the public could not see it. And they did agree to move it. It was in a place where, at the front desk where you bought your stamps or brought your packages in, there it was to see. Now, those couple of these weren't so hard to do, but some other initiatives just haven't been so easy or so successful.
Right? The sign that Emmanuel Assembly has at Holston Middle School is one of those.
And this is ongoing. And I definitely feel like we are just getting the run around.
Pretty much. This temporary sign.
You can see it. It's kind of vinyl on a, if you can look at the screen, it's vinyl on a metal frame. Yeah.
Yeah, it is in front of Holston Middle School, and it has been there for months at this point.
Since before school started.
Mm-hmm.
Now, according to the school, the sign is on city property.
According to the city, they defer to schools where there are signs in school domain.
And it is a temporary sign. We've looked at the city code for signs, and temporary signs are only supposed to be up for 2 weeks.
Right, so
Anyway.
it violates city code as well as the establishment clause when it comes to public schools.
But this is what the pastor of Emmanuel Assembly has to say about this sign. And I quote, "Our sign has nothing to do with the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution as you reference it. The separation of church and state phrase used by Jefferson was directed to further explain that our government would not require religion as a law. Our sign is not demanding by our government that anyone come to our church. We are in compliance with Knox County ordinances. I forwarded your email and contact information to our attorneys," and that's with an apostrophe S, "for review. We will not tolerate anyone challenging our freedom of speech, which is addressed and protected in the amendment you referenced. Separation of church and state is not listed in our U.S. Constitution, but freedom of speech and press certainly are. James Biddle, lead pastor." Now, what he fails to include is that this is on public property.
Right.
Therefore, it has the appearance, if not actually, of the public promoting a religion, in fact, a
public
particular
government
church.
entity.
Yes.
Yeah, but one thing that this reminds me of, it's a phrase I use frequently when it comes to these violations, and by no means do I mean all Christians, but Christians seem to think that the First Amendment exists, the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment exists simply to protect them, but they do not have to abide by it. That they are actually exempt from it. It protects their freedom of worship, but they don't have to abide by it when it comes to separation.
And my rule of thumb is to try to get people to consider how they would feel if the signs or the displays or whatever the violation is were for a different religion.
Right.
And if they might possibly be offended, for instance, if it were, and I'm not trying to pick on any religion, but if it were for a Muslim mosque, or if it were for a Jewish synagogue, or if
the
it were
Satanic Temple.
right. And if they would be offended by having that there, then that's a good clue that their signs, their displays should also not be there.
Right.
Now, the bottom line for the sign for Emmanuel Assembly is that the church is certainly allowed to have it displayed while they are renting the facilities, which is also allowable, and while they are there, but it has to come down at other times. So we are going to continue to fight this violation and, if necessary, bring the national organization into the fight.
Absolutely. Now, another egregious violation that took place recently was at Chuckey Elementary in Greene County.
And this one also was not resolved. Now, ironically, Greene County was far enough removed from our location that we did not send a letter of welcome to that superintendent, but I guess we should have.
Right. Yeah, we'll know better next year.
Yes, we will.
Now, a parent in the 5th grade class, or from a student in the 5th grade class, sent us this handout that you can see back here, probably can't read it, that announced that the Gideons would be distributing copies of the New Testament in 2 days' time.
So this happened, it came out on the Tuesday, and the distribution was going to be on Thursday.
Correct.
So contacting the principal of the school did not bring any resolution. In fact, she passed the buck to the director of schools, 2 different gentlemen, who sidestepped the violation by saying that those Gideons, bless their hearts, had met the system policy for handing out materials after school, and furthermore, it was quite all right because parents could opt out if they did not want their children receiving those Bibles.
Right. Now, keep in mind that a representative of the Gideons was stationed just outside of the 5th grade classroom door during dismissal to pander this propaganda to elementary students. The Top 10 Violations brochure has this to say about it. The distribution of Bibles to students on public school property is prohibited.
Prohibited.
Meanwhile, it doesn't matter what their policy says, it is prohibited.
Exactly.
Allowing Bible distributions in public schools or on public school property is an affront to not only non-religious people, but to all of those whose faith or lack of faith does not encompass the New Testament.
And that was by Berger.
Right.
That was a Supreme Court decision.
Right. Now, unfortunately, Gideons International views schools as a right missionary territory. They specifically target 5th graders. The aggressive tactics of the Gideons to visit classrooms to personally distribute Bibles to small children flagrantly violates not only parental authority, but public school law, as does complicitly by public school principals or staff.
And as according to the policy, there has to be a school staff person next to the representative of whatever organization is handing out whatever material. Also, the public school, the principal has to review, we have actually reviewed the policy.
Yes.
Has to review the material to make sure it's quote, appropriate.
Right.
So they have found that distributing Bibles to 5th grade students is appropriate and allow the Gideons into the school right there. I mean, it is, if that's not promoting a religion,
Right.
I don't know what is.
And their policy trumps law.
Exactly.
This
I mean, we have a policy.
Greene County Public Schools policies trump law.
Yes, and we're following policy, so
And
we're
these are the
okay.
people teaching our children.
we can just flagrantly disregard the law because we have a policy.
Right. And it's right here, but you have to go find it.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to give it to
Oh,
you.
and that was another thing that was interesting. In contacting all these people, we really did try to put a stop to this before it happened because it was obviously a violation. But in their response to, they just gave us the number of the policy.
Right.
It was like, this policy, and that was
Not a
the
copy
sum.
of the policy.
No, not even, dear so-and-so, our policies are found in this place and blah, 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 blah. Sincerely so-and-so. It's just like, number. That was
Dear
the
Shawnee,
email.
She knows how to use Google. Thank you.
However, with Greene County, we think it's time to fight fire with fire. Since Greene County considers it fair game for the Gideons to distribute their Bibles, we're seriously considering distributing this little book to 5th grade students at Chuckey Elementary. Dan Barker of FFRF wrote this nice little tome that gives instruction to children on how to determine what is real and what is simply mythical. Just Pretend is the title. Now, who could deny the distribution of a book that improves critical thinking?
I don't know, policy trumps law.
I don't know. I can just see the principal, though, saying, this is not appropriate. They might think God's just pretend.
Right? Now, of course, if we are denied the right to distribute it, this is a case of flat-out discrimination. That leaves the door open for more serious action.
And we've actually contacted FFRF to see if we can get bulk rate on copies of the book, which are on sale. If you want to go to FFRF and purchase this book for your own or for young children that you know, please do so. It's just $8 at present. However, in the reply from FFRF, they worried that they might not have enough copies for us to distribute.
And that it doesn't matter what their policy says. It's not illegal distribution.
Exactly. So they are actually getting into the fray as we speak. So, but it's still, wouldn't it be fun?
Yes.
To stand outside a 5th grade classroom and hand a book to children that would actually help them think through and perhaps reject some of the propaganda that they've been fed all their lives.
Here's the bigger question. How many parents would opt out?
How many would? Or how many would just look at it and say, well,
I don't know what this is.
You know, just pretend it's about critical thinking. Sounds good to me.
All right.
Let's go for it. More critical thinking in schools. Now, I could go on about that for a long time because
I still can't get over policy trumps law.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But anyway, for another visual, and this one's hard to see, but another member of our organization snapped this picture on his way to work. Now, in the lower window of the bus, there's a bumper sticker type message that says, God bless our children and keep them safe. It's on a school bus.
Right. Now, after we sent that to FFRF, they wrote a letter to Knox County School System.
Now, unfortunately, the jurisdiction over buses is not as clear-cut as school property. Now, this is clearly a violation, but probably one that would be too hard to fight at this time because the school bus owners say, they use the buses for other things besides school, and the buses are actually owned by an entity outside of the school system.
But it has Knox County Schools on the side of the bus, and while students are being transported, paid for by Knox County School District, this is on the bus.
I agree.
Yeah.
It is a violation, but whether we could actually be successful in getting it taken down, considering all the other things that we're having to deal with.
Right. This can take a back burner for a little while.
Yes.
It's still on the list, but it can take a back burner.
Yeah.
In another county, actually Hamlin County, Greene County, we're kind of getting out there now. A student, actually the parent, reported that the football coach was conducting prayers before class.
Before practice.
Or before.
Yeah.
Before practice. They also are praying on the field, which it's not student-led, it is coach-led. I did contact the principal of the school. She advised that she would look into the matter and thanked me for it. I requested a follow-up as to what means had been taken to prevent this from happening again and to stop it. And once again, they think we're going to go away. I sent my 3rd or 4th request again today asking for an update on what was done to stop this. No response whatsoever. And
that's definitely something that we've been dealing with. But this idea of praying before football practice also has come up with, it's called Pray to Play in colleges and universities. And one of our members discovered that the University of Tennessee has a paid chaplain for their football team. We went ahead and sent information about this official chaplain to FFRF so that they can include UT in their endeavors fighting the pray-to-play, which is going on in several colleges. So
Right.
it will be added to that queue, hopefully.
Right. And to reiterate, you know, one of the most frustrating things that we have to deal with right now is just being ignored.
You know, when you send, like you say, 4 times you've requested an update, and it's not just that school principal, it's
Right.
across the board. You know, I have calls into other people that haven't been returned, and you know, it's like, now I have to call again or email again, emails that are either ignored or, and it's several things, ignored, or the answer is so cryptic you don't even know what they said. So, you know, just people just failing to answer our inquiries or our questions, and just thinking that perhaps we'll just forget about it.
No, we won't.
Not going to happen.
After too much being ignored, that's when the attorneys get called in.
Well, it looks like it may be time for us to take a break. So, in case you are just tuning in, this is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. Freethought Forum is funded jointly by them and by individual contributions. Shows are live most every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Knoxville Community Access Television Channel 12 or Channel 194, depending on your local cable network. And tell your out-of-town friends to see us streaming online at ctvknox.org.
Now, this is a call-in show, and we are live today, November the 1st, 2016. And viewers can call in now to the number on the screen, right there, with a short comment or question. Call in now while we go to our informative break.
If you live in or around the Knoxville area and are questioning your religious beliefs or simply believe in one less God than everyone else, well, you're not alone. The Atheist Society of Knoxville is a fun and friendly group of people just like you that meets twice a week at a bar or restaurant. We meet every Tuesday night following the show at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria for happy hour. You'll find our group either inside or on the patio. Look for Richard Dawkins' silver-jacketed book, The God Delusion, standing upright on the table. On Fridays, we meet at Agave Azul or the Beard and Beer Market. But if you plan to preach, proselytize, provoke, or punch, please don't. We all question what we believe at one point in our lives. If this is the time for you, come join us for food, drink, conversation, and fun. Do you find stories of talking snakes laughable? Do you prefer the scientific method over supernatural beliefs? Are you concerned about religious leaders and organizations imposing their values and rules on your body, your family, and the rest of our society? Well, take comfort in the fact that you're not alone. The Rationalist of East Tennessee meets weekly for fellowship and provides a forum for people who support skeptical thinking and rational discussion of these and other issues. To find out more information or to find out about our next meeting, visit us on the web at www.rationalist.org.
The Atheist Society of Knoxville, or ASK, has regular meetups, including evening meetups for fun, food, drink, and conversation. ASK's purpose is to supply a venue for community, camaraderie, and outreach to atheists, agnostics, freethinkers, and other like-minded persons in the East Tennessee area. Our Tuesday meeting is going on now at a new location, the Downtown Grill and Brewery, 424 South Gay Street. Streak. That's a Freudian slip. Parking is in the back.
The Rationalist of East Tennessee has Sunday activities involving lively presentations and discussions on subjects topical and timeless. Once a month, we get together for a book club. The title of the November book is The Invention of the Jewish People by Shlomo Sand. Sunday, November the 13th, 2 p.m. at Books A Million on Kingston Pike. The public is invited to participate. You don't need to have read the book in order to attend, but of course it helps a little bit to know what you're talking about. You can visit rationalist.org to find the rest of the calendar of books and join us at Books A Million at 8513 Kingston Pike, Knoxville, every second Sunday at 2 p.m.
Now, both the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee help provide a social outlet where you'll find that if you don't believe in Zeus, Zoroaster, or Yahweh, you are not alone. All right. Now, we were talking about how frustrating it is to just be blown off by people when we bring complaints to them, and that they just don't respond, or they respond with minimal information.
Right.
So
now, we are still working on several initiatives that fall into this category. There are multiple religious flyers being distributed at various schools.
And like the Chucky school Bible distribution, schools sometimes hide behind policies that are designed to try to slip past that state-church separation regulation. So there are several things that have come to our attention here in East Tennessee that we've been working on. One of the ones that also came up to our group when we very first began, I think our first meeting was in May.
Yes.
One of our members brought up that his child, on going to meet for a field trip, encountered group prayer led by either the teacher or the principal.
Teacher with the principal present.
Yeah, okay. He videotaped this and sent it off to FFRF, and the principal and the legal counsel for Knox County got a nice letter from FFRF. So it's always satisfying to know that the big guns will come in and take up the fight for you.
Absolutely.
So, now some of the flyers, it's hard to see these. One of them, you can see the cross up here. Can't remember exactly what that one was for, but
that's going on in Blount County, I believe.
I think it is too.
At Lanier Elementary School?
Yes.
Or Lanier?
Lanier.
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 Right the first time.
Right. Some of these towns and even counties, it's hard to know how to say, how to pronounce them. But what the schools do, this is one of the top 10 violations. The schools distribute in students' backpacks or in their papers going home. They distribute lots of information for after-school activities that aren't even a part of the school system.
Right.
And sometimes aren't even held in the school.
Right.
So
it's
Lanier,
not like the Fellowship of Christian Athletes or others. It's not an organization like that or a group like that. This is go to this church for this activity.
Right. There's something that happened yesterday I'll have to let you know about, because this is pretty interesting.
I love surprises.
Let me make a note so I don't forget. Actually, I did put it up on the website in our group. It's a group that not everyone can get to.
Oh, I did see that, I believe.
Yeah, but so we can talk about that. But Lanier Elementary has been sending home these flyers, and they even have a church that sponsors the school. This is definitely a violation, and we've been working on this for a while.
This is probably one of the worst offenses in this area.
Yes.
Is that one school.
Because they're sending these things home over and over again. And one of the things that FFRF has pointed out, that even the time that school staff has to take to put these flyers into students' hands, whether it's through stuffing them in backpacks, which is one of the normal ways. That's how the Chucky Elementary flyer came home, was in a backpack, and the parent was unloading the information from the backpack. But so if you consider the time that school personnel spend, that is taxpayer money.
Right. I think they worked up that one teacher distributing these flyers cost a public school system $9,000 a year.
$9,000 a year of our taxpayer money going to promote religion.
And here's the question, too. Is the church bringing one flyer in and having the school copy it?
Yes. I mean, you never know. They might be bringing their own copies, or they might just be assuming that the schools will back them in their endeavors.
Right.
So, but Lanier, it's flyer after flyer after flyer. I think two of the flyers up there are from Lanier. The Discovery Club flyer
is
Lenore City. Another another area where it seems church and state have just gone hand
We're
in
in
hand.
the South. We're in the Bible Belt.
So-
The Constitution doesn't matter. It's school policy that matters.
There are also flyers about after-school activities being handed out at Hardin Valley Academy.
Right.
In fact, they not only are handing out flyers that promote church activities, but it's on their website.
Right. They are actively promoting church functions on their website.
And a letter to them has yielded no response. Maybe we'll go away. I don't think so.
Surprise.
No, we're like bulldogs, aren't we? We'll keep at those things until we get them taken down. And it's not that we are trying to throw our weight around and get special privileges.
Absolutely not. That's what we're avoiding.
And ironically, sadly, many people in the religious community feel like we are persecuting them when all we want to do is make sure they are not getting special privileges in promoting their religion.
Right. It's Christian privilege. It's okay for me. It's not okay for you. The First Amendment protects me, but not you.
Yeah. So it's my freedom of speech.
Right? No.
So
No.
So the government can promote my freedom. Let me tell you what happened yesterday, and this came as a surprise to me. Sometimes when FFRF in Madison sends out requests to local entities, they say, well, you're not in Tennessee. So we don't have to provide you with the information that you're requesting because you're in Wisconsin. So, too bad. Well, they turn around and say, well, we have our local representative, and we're making a request on her behalf, and please send the information to her. Yesterday, information came in the mail, and I'm like, oh, this is to the president of the Freedom from Religion Foundation of East Tennessee.
Hi, Annie Laurie. How are you?
From Madisonville. And I'm like, oh, I opened it up, and apparently this was a copy of a check for $350 that the city of Madisonville had paid to a church. I can't remember the name. It was a Baptist church. No surprise. Right. And as it turns out, the letter was from the mayor apologizing for this and saying that in the future the city clerk, I think it was the clerk, would have to bring all expenditures to the full council before making them. So this was, a unilateral decision on the...
And I did see that, but there was never any mention of recouping the money.
Right. So I think... I'm curious to see what FFRF does about this, but I kind of think, number one, the clerk should give the money back to the city council, and then it's up to that clerk to get the money back from the church.
That's not a bad idea.
So,
and even further into that, why couldn't they pray for the money? Why does the city have to bail them out? But that's
good point.
My anti-theist thoughts.
Well, my byline for that is nothing feels like prayer.
Nothing fails like,
And that's the award I got.
Right.
So the Nothing Feels Like Prayer award. Because, you can pray all you want, but it's hands that
you
work.
got to go to the city to bail you out, though.
Yeah.
Because God doesn't carry around $350.
Let's see, something else we've been working. This is an ongoing. Let's see how long they can ignore us.
People really like to ignore us. I can type all day long.
We can continue to send out emails and make calls as long as they want us to.
Right.
We're not going away, but this is one that's been ongoing. I'll let you talk about that.
Ball Camp Elementary.
Yes.
They their issue is a little bit different from Belmorris. They do have at least one church banner hanging up, but it's also with business banners. It is their PTA's fundraiser. Contacted the principal. They gave me the information for the president of the PTA. She's emailing me, no problems. I send an image of the banner we'd like to hang.
And to be fair, because this was a PTA fundraiser, we decided to use a banner that was not quite as in your face as the "Don't Believe in God, You're Not Alone" banner.
Right.
So we had an artist make up a banner that was more
muted.
Much more muted.
Yeah. It says join Knoxville's secular community, and it has the websites for the 4 main groups. Rationalist of East Tennessee, Atheist Society of Knoxville, Sunday Assembly, and Freedom from Religion Foundation East Tennessee chapter. That's it. Nothing more.
Yeah.
So I send in an image, and all communication stops.
And stops.
And
stops. And stops.
Finally, I send an email and copy the principal. The principal comes back, or did you? One of us.
I think I actually did that one, just kind of expressing concern that that time was passing and our sponsorship was, the time that we could have our sponsorship was
because
becoming,
this isn't prorated.
Right. You pay for the whole year no matter when your sign goes up.
Right. The principal responded that that person was no longer president of the PTA.
Oh, gee, we have someone new to work with.
Right. So she immediately responds, the new, well, at first they didn't have one.
Right.
Then when they assigned a new one, she reached out to us. I asked if I needed to resubmit the information. All communication has stopped once again. So
we wait. No, we don't wait.
No, about every few days I send out one, and next email will be copied to the principal and possibly the superintendent.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to be ignored.
No.
These are very, very open and flagrant violations of separation of church and state.
And we have laughed and joked about it here tonight, but it really is a serious situation. It's not something that we take lightly. As we said at the beginning of the program, we've been rather surprised and dismayed that there have been so many violations that have come to our attention without us really going out and looking for them.
Right.
It's just once people realize that we had a local chapter, they've been contacting us, emailing, calling, messaging.
Which I had people contact before we had a local chapter, and I'd always just send them to the national chapter.
And actually, we have a slide that has the link where you can directly, there you go, right there, very easy. If you want to make a report directly to FFRF in Wisconsin, they have a team of fantastic attorneys who will take on the task for you. One of the things when you do send information to the legal intake is that you cannot attach any visuals. You can't send attachments of flyers or things of that sort. So it's really, really important to thoroughly describe what is happening and provide a way for them to contact you, which is automatic through the link, but so that then as they respond to you, you can send additional information in the form of a PDF of a flyer or photograph of a sign. And that's another interesting thing that I discovered. I did not know this previously, that if you think a sign anywhere in Knoxville violates city ordinance, it's a very easy matter to call the city and complain. I think the number is 311.
Yep.
It only works in the city of Knoxville. It won't work for me out in Blount County where Lanier Elementary is.
Right.
But it's very easy, and they will send someone out to look at the sign and see if it does violate code and or other issues.
Right.
Hopefully, then taking care of it.
Right. And going back to reporting directly to FFRF, they'll keep you anonymous. You
Yes.
don't really have to worry about that.
No. They really do want to solve these problems, all of these issues that come up, and they start off with sending letters to the offending entity. And most of the time that will take care of it, as we've found. That sometimes even a telephone call takes care of it. Not always,
No.
but they'll do that. They'll send a letter, and once these entities realize that they are stepping outside the bounds of the law, they oftentimes will remediate their policies.
Or they recognize that refusal to adhere to the law could result in a lawsuit, which just costs taxpayers more money.
And that is the next step. FFRF will take that up. Sometimes they get partners with like the ACLU or the Americans United Against Separation of Church and Americans United for the Separation of Church and State. I just always call them Americans United.
Right.
Don't worry about the rest of it. But they team up with other entities to bring these lawsuits. In the case of a lawsuit, they do need someone who has standing, who will take that on. And there are people out there who've done this.
Yeah.
And it's always encouraging to hear of the successes that FFRF has in stopping some of these practices. But we can always make calls to schools, principals, post offices. I mean, if you don't want to, you can let us know as well. Our contact information is actually on the FFRF site under chapters, so you can always find us there.
We also have a Facebook page. You can contact either myself or Alita.
Yeah. I actually took one of your lines,
that's
didn't
okay.
you? No.
I'm so angry I don't talk enough.
Right.
So I'm going to take one of yours.
You're right.
You're also welcome to join our meetings the third Wednesday of each month at 7 p.m. Earth Fair at Turkey Creek. Currently, we might be expanding that soon.
Right. If we outgrow that room, we might even have to rent space from a school or something.
Oh, darn.
Freedom from Religion Foundation meeting
East
at a
Tennessee
school.
chapter.
Right. East Tennessee chapter. I mean, we're so proud. We're the only chapter in Tennessee. In fact, there are only, I counted, 20 chapters.
We were chapter number 20.
So
I like a good round number.
We're really proud of that.
Very.
So anyway, it's time for us to be wrapping up. So get out your pen and paper again. This has been Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. I'm Alita.
And I'm Shawnee. Please send us feedback. Leave voicemails at 865-272-9060 or email us at freethoughtforum@yahoo.com.
You can see this show on Tuesdays, most Tuesdays, not all of them, from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time on this Knoxville station and at 2100 Greenwich Mean Time at ctvknox.org.
Now we would like to thank our viewers and send our thanks to Sam, Riv, and Lee for technical support, and to the staff at CTV Knox, and to all of our callers, even though we didn't have any today.
We didn't have any. I really thought we'd have some callers tonight. I was kind of disappointed that...
Maybe we're intimidating.
I don't think so. I thought some people out there would be annoyed that we were doing this work and would want to call in about it. So nuns, those who identify with no religion, are the fastest growing religious group in America. So right here in East Tennessee, the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee are places where you can find fellowship and fun. So always remember, all of you out there, if you're an atheist or agnostic, you are not alone. Yes.
Separate church and state.
And keep it that way.
Right.